wanted to take this time, this podcast, to think about and to discuss this idea of freedom. And what does it mean to be free in Christ? It is part of our identity. And so I think it's a really great conversation to have. I also have written a blog about this that is posted on our website, redeemingidentity.com, that goes a little bit further into this than we're going to get into it right now in this podcast. So, freedom in our culture, let's start there, is a really commonly understood idea. It is this freedom, the ability to choose to do what we want to do, that we are not restricted, we are not forced, we are not limited by some outside force. So, in our country, before the Declaration of Independence, they were concerned because it seemed like they did not have the freedom to live as they wanted to because of the monarchy in England that basically was restricting what they could do, what they couldn't do, and was in fact also charging them for this lack of freedom. All right. So we celebrate this idea of freedom so that we are not constrained to be something that we don't want to be. We don't have to do a job that we don't want to do. We don't have to live in a place that we may not want to live. We have the ability, the right, the freedom to go out and to live lives the way that we feel best to live. That's the freedom that we have in this culture. Now, if we think about that from the concept of the church, though, if we are singing that Jesus has made us free, he has given us freedom, he has broken the chains of our bondage, does that really mean for us that we now have the freedom that we now have, that Jesus has granted us the freedom to do what we want to do, to be what we want to be, to do, to live where we want to live, to create ourselves in the image of whatever we want to do, whoever we want it to be? Well, I think that is the perspective that we want to challenge a little bit here. So, our typical idea of being free is that we're being held in bondage by something outside of us, and that we are constrained from doing what we want to do because of that bondage, that limitation, that force, whether it's a person or something else, is keeping us restricted from doing what we want to do. And so when we are set free, that bondage is taken away and we now have freedom. We are no longer in bondage. We are no longer restricted or constrained by something or someone. So we're able to do what we want to do. In the church, if you think about this, whenever it says that we have been set free from bondage, what are we being set free from? Well, it's a simple answer. Everyone knows this. It's a Sunday school answer: sin. We're being set free from sin. In Romans 6:16, it says, "Do you not know that if you present yourselves to anyone as obedient slaves, you are slaves to the one you obey, either of sin, which leads to death, or of obedience, which leads to righteousness?" So we were once slaves to sin. So we did what sin wanted us to do. That is the mentality that we think about it. We have we were slaves, we were in bondage to sin. We think about sin as an outside force that is keeping us in bondage and keeping us from doing what we really want to do. But we have been now set free. So, whenever we're talking about being free, we need to be freed from that corrupted identity that we have chosen, that we have created, that we have learned both from the culture around us, but that we have also adopted and that we have transformed and we have selected in an attempt to discover who were meant to be on our own. That's the key here. We have been trying to discover, to define who we were meant to be at our core on our own, and we have created a corrupted identity. This is the internal sin. That is that sin that is within us. So, whenever Jesus comes and he releases us from sin, he is releasing us from that corrupted identity. He is freeing us from ourselves. So, if we think about freedom from the standpoint of, I get to do whatever I want to do, I get to be who I want to be, then basically what we're doing is we're reliving, we're returning to, we're celebrating the thing that led us to the sin that keeps us separated from God, our own independence, our own I want my own way identity or heart. That's not the freedom that we should be celebrating. We're free now to be restored to a relationship with God so that we can discover who He is. You see, you hear that? We are free to discover who He is, to know God. And then from that, who He created us to be. And then we are free to become who He has created us to be. He has given us the power, the ability, the freedom to become who He has created us to be and live freely out of that new identity. It is not a freedom of independence, living our own way, but it is a freedom to be restored to a relationship, a dependence on God.